What's going on, dudes and dudettes? Sorry, trying to work out a new setup. Kind of looks like just the bottom of my face is kind of lit up, but we'll try to get used to it using a newer kind of tripod. So, seeing how this goes. So, please forgive me if it's kind of distracting a little bit. But yes, we'll get into something I missed in yesterday's video where PFF put out a top 10 of all available offensive linemen who would be either getting drafted, went back to school, or underclassmen as well. And even USC's Shona Monheim was still on that list at number 9. So it's pretty obvious he is a very talented guy. Still don't know why he went back, but I guess he just wants to figure out that center spot because he will most likely be playing on the interior of the offensive line when he's in the NFL. So we will see. And then another player on USC's basketball, incoming freshman shooting guard, the 4-star Liam Campbell, has also recently asked to be released from his national letter of intent. So it's not a good thing, but I thought kind of the news of maybe USC maybe already trying to find their basketball coach and Eric Musselman from Arkansas, because I was like getting a lot of attention when I spoke about it in the last video, but maybe he kind of sees the writing on the wall that he's not going to be a part of this team no matter what, even if they bring in a guy as good as Musselman. So, I don't know. We'll see. Definitely sucks to see some guys going, especially a talented younger guy like Trent Perry, who we discussed in the last video, but hoping a lot of these guys end up sticking around or they just get some more talented players on the roster in the end. And there was this proposal made by like sports executives and college presidents where they were being 80 college formats. I don't know what that means, if it's like 2 major super conferences or a couple of super conferences put together of certain football schools, and then they would come out and play against each other. And I guess this is like kind of their first step towards walking away from the NCAA, which is kind of weird because I don't know how college works with the NCAA, like contract-wise, but I know ESPN recently signed like certain deals with certain conferences with, you know, media rights and showing certain games on certain channels and all that stuff. And I'm sure places like CBS and, you know, even Fox and all that stuff, NBC, now Peacock, they've all made their own separate deals. So I'm kind of wondering how it's going to end up affecting that in the end, because they say they want to do this to be able to not only increase the value of like the sport, but also be able to pay players what they're supposed to be getting. So I don't know, it's going to be kind of weird because it's definitely going to be more like a mini NFL now if they go to this route. But if they're already talking about it, then the wheels are turning. So hopefully it doesn't end up tearing down college football, but hoping it just makes it better. I guess that's what we're all hoping for. And then Juju Watkins was recently awarded from the Women's Basketball Coaches Association the Freshman of the Year award. I don't know if they've really given out like wooden awards and all that stuff, like some of the top awards out there during this time, but I'm pretty sure she's still a finalist there. It'll probably be hard to get it now since other players like Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers were already on there and they're still playing in the tournament. So either way, at least she's still racking up a lot of the freshman awards out there. And PFF also did a list of most players drafted by any team, like any certain amount of players since like 1967 when they started looking at these numbers, and USC is number 2, which is pretty cool at like 523 there. Sadly, only 2 from tying the number 1 team in Notre Dame. So I'm pretty sure USC has a lot of guys getting drafted this year, but also so does Notre Dame. So hoping to get at least 1 to 2 more than them to either tie it or eventually soon after this draft, eventually pass Notre Dame for the number 1 overall spot. So looking forward to that. And then, yes, there was a pretty good player in the 2026 class, a 4-star cornerback, Dorian Barney, recently put USC in his top 12, so that's good. Looking really nice for some of the future prospects, still keeping USC in their contention list. And Obviously, he has the last name Barney, so I gotta root for him. Obviously, growing up, Barney was one of the more favorite shows and favorite characters I watched. I don't watch it at all now, but I was definitely a main Barney head when I was a lot younger, so it'd be pretty cool to have a guy on the roster with that last name. Then there was a 2025 four-star running back in Marquise Davis, and he recently released a top 10, which included USC as well. So, yeah, very talented guy in this next class coming up, and another running back. So, yes, definitely Anthony Jones Jr. is definitely working really hard, being one of the last coaches put on Lincoln Riley's, staff, and he's definitely going after some of these talented guys. So, definitely very happy about that. And speaking more about House of Victory signings, they did sign one of the newer transfer defensive linemen in Isaiah Rake, so that was nice to see. But then they also re-signed one of the players they had last year in the defensive back, Jalen Smith, who returned for one of his super senior years. So once again, another guy re-signing, so I'm assuming these were just one-year deals, as they call it. So maybe I won't talk about all of them if a lot of those guys do end up re-signing, just a lot of the bigger named guys. But yes, obviously a lot of those guys are moving on to the NFL too, who signed last year, but we'll update, especially with a lot of the newer names coming up. And then some Chargers news, especially about that LSU wide receiver Malik Neighbors visiting yesterday. He did also put up a social media post saying that he was buying or looking to buy a house in LA, which is already pretty crazy if he already thinks he's going to get drafted by the Chargers, because you never know who will be available at that time. He might even get picked higher to Arizona. You never know, but I guess a lot of athletes end up buying houses in LA to come and hang out in the off season or during the summer too. So either way, I guess we shouldn't read too much into this, but I guess a lot of people are saying he's already locked in as a Charger, which is pretty funny. And then now it's kind of the start of a couple of Duke players heading in to the transfer portal. As of right now, it's only one that I know of. It's the center Christian Reeves, who's been at Duke for about 2 years now and didn't really get much playing time. He did kind of progress a bit watching some of those summer workouts, but just wasn't really able to get on the court. I think he was a bit more hurt this year than just lack of experience last year as a freshman, but he is planning to enter the transfer portal, so I'm not surprised if we hear a couple more guys doing that from this roster, so I'll definitely update you at that point. An incoming Duke freshman number 1 player, Cooper Flagg, says he's kind of embracing this villain role, being a Duke white player that a lot of people are already giving him, obviously, for the likes of Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, many of other guys, Grayson Allen recently, so a lot of these guys, I guess you can include like John Shire and Kyle Singler in there as well, but says he loves it, just gonna embrace it. Doesn't really get to him personally, so it's just, I guess, the type of thing you have to deal with being a really good white guy player at Duke. So like I said, he loves it, just gonna embrace it. That's a good way to think about it, good attitude. And yes, the Lakers played a back-to-back. I didn't even know they were playing it tonight, but they did get the Wizards and beat them, luckily, 125-120. Anthony Davis had 35 points, 18 rebounds. He has 60 double-doubles on the season, which is the first time since Shaq, anybody as a Laker has had that. So he could probably pass him up on that list. And then LeBron James has also moved into number 10 on the all-time Lakers assist chart, which is pretty cool for him as well. But yeah, they pretty much had a nice 10 to 15 point lead. That's why I kind of stopped watching at some point, and of course they had to make it close against pretty bad Wizards team. But in the end, a lion can play with his food as long as he ends up getting the job done in the end. That's all that matters, right? So we will see how the rest of the season goes for my LA Lakers. And on some miscellaneous news, there was recently, a couple weeks ago, Jake Gyllenhaal. He was in the running to be Batman when Christopher Nolan started, but it obviously went to Christian Bale at that time. And he even recently said that it would be an honor to play Batman if given the chance again. which is obvious because they got their new Superman now, but we're still waiting on the word of a new Batman. So that'll be pretty interesting, but also a really gigantic guy, stature-wise, and a guy whose star is kind of shining right now, and Alan Richardson, who's on that show Jack Reacher, but he's been in a couple of different shows right now. But physically, he kind of looks like more of the Batman. We don't really know if he can play that playboy billionaire type of guy in Bruce Wayne, but physically he has a definitely looks like he's over 6 foot plus, so definitely over 230 plus pounds, all muscle. But I think Gyllenhaal could look both good in both parts, so we'll see if any of these guys get it. It probably won't be any of them, of course, but we'll wait and see. Thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.